Did we both
And
have the Cavs?
yeah, I literally listened to the podcast today and I said, I'll give Indiana one game, maybe two. I think that they're dead on arrival. And boy, was I wrong. Adam Silver makes a call and be like, yo, you trade away Luka, we'll give you the number 1 pick next year for Cooper Flagg.
Like, park the bus and play your highlight in the freaking Champions League final. What are we doing?
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the From the Stands podcast. We are back after another week off for episode number 63 of our good old podcast here on May 15th, coming at you at 9 p.m. A little bit of a playoff game going on right now that I'm definitely watching on the side, but it's all good. We'll be coming back with jam-packed episode for you guys, as always. Obviously missing a week. I'm going to miss quite a lot of sports news, especially with a lot of the soccer and basketball seasons coming kind of down to the wire here. The big time playoff games happening now. And then obviously in the soccer realm that's going on right now, title races being decided and things like that. So we'll get into all that in just a little bit. But before we get into that, Fezzy boy, you got a little bit of a life update, I guess. Little new look there, huh?
Yeah, a little new look. I have, over the past 2 weeks that we've been off, I joined the Four Eyes Club. So these are not blue light glasses.
Took everything in me not to call you that at the beginning. I was
it's all right.
How do I frame this?
My sister said that, like, as soon as I sent it to her, she's like, "Oh, Four Eyes." I was like, thanks. Yeah, but no. I was explaining this to Sam a little bit, not to like belabor this, but like, they are like wear all the time glasses. They're not blue light glasses, but my vision is perfectly fine from what the eye doctor said. It's just my right eye has trouble focusing. And so my left eye was working harder, and I was having headaches on my left side. So that's supposed to help that. So that's why I'm wearing glasses, and you'll probably see me wear glasses I'll take them off when I take them off when I work and play sports. But other than that, yeah, I'm a typical four eye guy now.
Full-time 4 eyes now. Huh?
Yeah. So yeah, we go away for 2 weeks and then we come back and Fez has glasses. So, I'm growing gray hair and wearing glasses now. So I'm just old after having a kid. It just happens fast, apparently.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It accelerates, doesn't go back from there for sure. I've almost considered wearing some blue light glasses when I get on the podcast, but then I always go against it because the glare is like crazy for the video part. But I don't know, maybe sometime I'll wear them just so we can match, on the old pod.
Perfect.
So
I'd love
we'll see about that. But yeah, not too much going on in my neck of the woods as well. Just kind of working and just finishing up some house projects and stuff. My parents coming up in June, so
nice.
Getting the house all ready to go. So.
That's sweet.
Yeah, not too much else going on in my neck of the woods, but I am watching a lot of sports, so I'm well informed on most of the things going on in the sports arena that we'll be talking about in this episode. And without further ado, we'll get into it here in just a moment. Starting off with a little NBA action, we are right in the middle of the second round of the playoffs. And since we did take a couple weeks off, we're going to catch up a little bit from some of the news that was going on, and then we'll give you a little bit of a recap into kind of what's been going on in the second round. There have been two series already that have already concluded, so we'll get into those in just a minute. But a little bit of a recap from the last episode and kind of where we left off. At that point is right before a game 6 of a Warriors Rockets series. Warriors had a chance to close it out, and I did put this in the doc. Fezzi's predictions didn't really go as planned, just because I was listening back to the episode today, and he had predicted that the Warriors were going to close it out and that the Clippers would win in Game 7.
Yeah.
Neither of which happened, but the Warriors did close up that series in 7 games against a really young Rockets team. Hield had 33 points in a must-win Game 7, so a little bit of a legacy game there for him. And then the other series that we had going on at the time as well, the Clippers and the Nuggets were about to go into their 7th game as well. And Fezzy Boy had Clippers winning that one as well. Denver's able to pull that one pull that one through with a
Yeah,
huge choke job by Harden. He's a pretty consistent
massive.
choker in games 6 and 7 here. He only had 7 points here in this game. So,
Oh
Fezzy boy, what do you
man.
got to say about those two series wrapping up and predictions not going to plan here?
Yeah, the predictions on the games, and obviously the Clippers getting through did not work, but the Warriors did make it past the Rockets, so I had that going for me. But yeah, didn't do too hot, even with the advantage of like having a few games played and then trying to pick. Like I still couldn't pick that, and
Yeah.
obviously, it is what it is. But I'm looking at Buddy Hield and having that 33-point game. Where was that? We'll get into the next series they were
Yeah.
in. So
Right.
a little teaser there. But yeah, my picks weren't too hot. Let's say that.
For sure, yeah, but it's okay. You're not alone. A little bit of a teaser, I guess, on my end as well. One of my picks definitely did not age very well either from the last episode, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, just really solid win by the Warriors overall against a really young Rockets team. I thought the Rockets were going to win against the Warriors, to be honest. I just thought their youth
Nice.
was going to ultimately prevail in that one. But Warriors, man, you can't beat experience, and obviously Steph kind of carried them in that one. And then Denver, kind of the same situation. Obviously, didn't help that Harden completely choked in
Dude,
their game
so
7.
bad.
So Jokic coming up big and his supporting cast doing just enough to get by them. But moving on to the second round, Indiana and Cleveland.
Huge.
That series is already wrapped up with Indiana winning in 6.
Did we both
And
have the Cavs?
yeah, I
Oh,
literally listened to the podcast today and I said, I'll give Indiana one game, maybe two. But I think that they're dead on arrival. And boy, was I wrong. And
four.
I'm very glad that I was wrong because I also said that I don't like the Cavs too much, and
This is true.
that's a true statement. So Cavs blew several leads in the first 2 games. I know game 2 in particular, they were up by as much as 20. Tyrese Halliburton coming up big. I feel like he's really playing with a chip on his shoulder this playoffs after that poll or whatever came out that all the players had saying that he's the most overrated player in the league. Big
Right.
mistake to have that come out right before the playoffs. So he's making everybody pay for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Cavs had some injury troubles throughout the series. I know they were missing several key players for at least game 3. Mobley and DeAndre Hunter, I know that were out for that game. But yeah, Pacers just pulling it out, man. 2 Eastern Conference Finals appearances in a row now. What do you got to say about the Pacers coming up huge and eliminating the Cavs after a historic season for the Cavs where they get the number 1 seed with over 60 wins here?
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. I really thought that last year the Pacers caught lightning in a bottle, and I was like, "There's
Mm-hmm.
no way they can do it again." I was completely wrong. The Pacers are for real, and like you said, Halliburton was voted most overrated player in the league by the players, and so
Right.
definitely going in with a huge chip on his shoulder. I really like the Cavs. I thought they had all the pieces to. I know a lot of people were saying, they're a regular season team. Obviously, that came to fruition in this series, but I think it was a bad matchup in general for the Cavs because the Pacers have bigs that matched up really well with their bigs, and that was the thing that really put the Cavs over the top in a lot of their big time matchups where their bigs really good. Mobley won like you wanted, and we said on the last episode he won Defensive Player of the Year. So obviously they weren't scrubs, but I mean the Pacers just I don't know, man. I don't know the exact odds. I think they're like second or third best odds to win the championship at this point. But dude, gentlemen sweeping the Cavs that's impressive because the Cavs obviously like you said they had their injuries, but they were still a good team. I mean, I think uh Mitchell, not Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell. He averaged like 30 some points this series and they still found a way to win. So,
Yeah.
yeah, huge props to the Pacers, man. I did not see this coming at all.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with everything you're saying. Huge props to them. Tyrese Halliburton, I can't say enough about him. Obviously, we both kind of mentioned him already, but especially in that game too. Like they came all the way back from down 20, and I think I texted you maybe after that. But the Pacers, I think with 45 seconds, the Cavs were up 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
and they found a way to squander it away. Tyrese
Yeah.
Halliburton, at least on the last possession, I remember he kind of dribbled into a crowd, just brought it back out for a three, and just hit a huge three to make them go up by a point there. And then Cavs ultimately not able to respond after that. Donovan Mitchell, not a huge fan of him. Just I don't know. I don't really have a good reason to not be a huge fan of him, but I just don't like him very much. But he came up huge basically in all the games. But ultimately his inexperienced teammates, I'll chalk it up to that, weren't able to come through for him. I know he was playing on fumes the last game, the elimination game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Missed a couple free throws really late on, but he's a big time performer. He's kind of proven that he's playoff made, but unfortunately not enough to get past a Pacers team that's really surging. So we'll see how they're able to go about the Eastern Conference Finals again. See kind of what they're made of in the next couple years too. If they're able to add a couple pieces or kind of just stick with the same team and try to get to another Eastern Conference Finals or even maybe an NBA Finals, how
Yeah,
they're
man.
going. So sticking or staying in the East, New York up 3-2 on the Celtics right now. Another little bit of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Fezzy boy did not give the Knicks very many chances in this one as well.
Didn't.
But they're proven to be a tough out as well on the Celtics. And the Celtics are going to have quite an uphill battle with Tatum now out with an
Mm-hmm.
Achilles injury. So what do you got to say about the Knicks and the Nova boys up 3-2 here against the champs?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the New York Knicks. I'm not actually a Knicks fan, even though I'm from New York, but I really do like the Nova boys. I was kind of going off their regular season against the Celtics and even the Cavs. They didn't win a game against the Celtics or the Cavs in the East, and so I was just like, dude, like the history shows that they're not going to be able to do it. I was completely wrong. They came out and just punked the Celtics straight away. They went up 2-0. They took two games in Boston and then ended up losing at home. They're a better road team than they are at home, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I think it's, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with like done and dusted because I want to hear your take on this. But obviously, this last game, the Celtics just won in pretty dominant fashion, even
Yeah.
without Tatum. I think it frees up the offense a little more without Tatum. Not saying Tatum's bad. I'm not on that bandwagon. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to get your take on that. I think there's a little more hairy than the Knicks want it to be.
Dude, it's funny that you brought that up because that's exactly what Jared and I were talking about last night when we were watching the Celtics game. Just because, honestly, like as soon as Tatum went down, like watching several of the Knicks Celtics games already, like whenever the Celtics were in a pickle or like we're like had several minute stretch where like no one would score, no one get in a rhythm. It's really because Tatum when when times are going like really tough for the Celtics, he just goes down, shoots like a contested three from like
Mm-hmm.
35 feet, tries to force the ball, tries to drive, doesn't pass. I was like, bro, you have a stacked team, like move the ball. So like
Yeah.
immediately when he went down, I was like, this might be a blessing in disguise because like they can
Right.
defer to Tatum when they need a bucket because he's a top 10 player in the NBA, I would say.
Absolutely.
And a finals MVP, all that. So he can get a bucket when he needs to, and then just have the rest of the team play free, move the
Yeah.
ball. We had Luke Cornett have a legacy game, which was absolutely insane. I mean, he was doing
Yeah.
it on both ends of the court, absolutely crazy.
Huge.
So they've got enough depth that I think they can get to another finals. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they just rattled off another two here against New York,
Yeah.
and eliminated them. Obviously, it's going to take another couple big games, but I mean, they blew out the Knicks. And maybe a little bit of it was the Knicks being like, "Oh, we got these boys now, whatever." But like, that just shows you can't really have that mindset. So,
Right.
yeah, I definitely think it's going to open up the Celtics at least offensively for sure. So,
Mm-hmm. Cornette's about to make so much money this
maybe.
offseason because there's a lack of bigs in free agency and he's a free agent and like after seeing that dude like the teams like the Warriors who are looking for like any sort of big to fill in for Green because Green is not a center. They need a rim protector badly. But obviously I don't know if we're going to talk about this but with Giannis possibly on the move, he's definitely going to be the big name, but like yeah, the free agency market is devoid of a lot of bigs, so it's going to be interesting to see this offseason.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if he necessarily would want to go somewhere else, just because feel like he's kind of got it made there, like coming off the bench for a Celtics team that
I mean, yeah,
isn't going to be bad for a while. So maybe he takes a little bit of a quote unquote pay cut. But I don't know if he necessarily can replicate that game again. Like
we'll
I don't know.
see.
You don't want a Jeremy Lin situation where you sign for a different team and then you're just kind of dog water. But
Cornet insanity coming into the playoffs. That'd be nuts if
yeah,
he had like this outrageous run and then he just like totally falls out next season to and
yeah,
someone gives
I
him
don't
like a
know.
huge contract. It's
That'd
happened
be
before,
crazy.
so
Yeah, I think the Knicks have to go back to their balanced scoring though. That's
oh
how
yeah.
they've gotten ahead in the series. Just like every one of their starters has like 15, 20 points. So just
Mm-hmm.
like obviously they got, Bridges and Hart and Brunson and all those guys. Brunson, even though he's the leader, he kind of like, he's still like obviously they go to him when they need a buck. He's a super clutch player, but if you look at their stats, they're just really even across the board. At least their starters are. So
Yeah.
um they got to get back to that if they're gonna get win one more against the Celtics. So, yeah, we'll see how that one kind of plays out here. I'm excited to watch the next two games there and see if Jaylen Brown can bring the Celtics back in that one. But switching over to the other side of the bracket now on the West, Minnesota already knocking out the Golden State Warriors. Really not much to say in this one. It was really just
Nah,
one story in this one that Steph got hurt in game two, and it was kind of close
it's
up shop
over.
for the Minnesota Timberwolves there, but they're playing really good team ball at a good time of the year. So Ant struggled pretty early in the first two games, but he's shooting the ball well again. So he was pretty instrumental to closing up or eliminating the Golden State Warriors, I should say. But how huge was Steph going down in game two here and missing the rest of the series?
It was it was everything, man.
Everything, yeah,
I mean, it just shows how much he means to that team offensively. I was more surprised to see that their defense took a hit, but I think that was just
yeah,
that was more so the Timberwolves than anything. I think the Warriors did all right on defense, but when you have Julius Randle playing really well, Ant playing well,
yeah.
Gobert was just a monster down low. I mean, he didn't score a lot, but like protecting the rim and really having nobody to draw them out, someone who can get a bucket on their own, which I was surprised that Jimmy didn't do more. Like, I don't know. I feel like
They didn't.
something was,
They were kind of like the Lakers, where they didn't really have a great, guy to go up against Gobert. Like they didn't have really a
yeah.
7 footer that can go in and just compete with him. So
Yeah, the lack of size definitely hurt them. But yeah, like you said, the story is Steph goes, I mean, in the first game that the Warriors ended up winning, granted Ant played horribly, but Curry had 13 points in 13 minutes. Like he was about to pop off, then he gets hurt. The Warriors win, which I think gave people false hope that the Warriors could get one more. Obviously they couldn't. The
yeah,
one game that I want to point to, and I was gonna look it up if I could find it. I think it was either game 2 or 3. The Warriors were actually leading going into the fourth, I think, and then they ended up giving it up at the end. Like that was the game they needed. Like that was their opportunity. They just needed one. They didn't need to win the series. Just get one, and maybe Steph comes back game 6. But
yeah,
obviously they couldn't get it done. So
yeah. I think this says two things really about the Warriors, and that I think this shows just how badly of a team, like I think we've mentioned it before, but how badly they've not been able to put good talent around Steph, especially as he's gotten older. Obviously, they
mm-hmm,
tried to get Jimmy Butler, which initially worked in the regular season. Obviously, they got past the Rockets, but he's not really at a point anymore where he can single handedly drag teams to the finals like he did with the Heat.
mm-hmm,
Obviously, in the West, it's going to be a lot more challenging anyway. But with him being a lot older, that wasn't going to be the answer to all the problems. And just, I mean, honestly, I was just seeing a lot of the things that we were talking about with the Lakers too, like
mm-hmm,
just outside their top two or three guys that are pretty good. They don't really have much. I mean, they have Kaminga, who's just kind of 50-50 every night. Like one day he could be like a future all-star, and then the next he's putting up 2 points and not getting like anything. So
mm-hmm,
just a really frustrating player to watch there. And then like the rest of like they have like that Brazilian guy Santos and Quentin
mm-hmm.
Post. Like those guys aren't really going to get you a Western Conference Finals or an NBA Finals. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. Like they got to get rid of Draymond, bro. Like
Dude.
they got to get rid of him, free up the money. I mean, they got to get younger for sure. So
Yeah,
just an aging
absolutely.
Warriors team, and just kind of sad to see them kind of sputter out here, especially towards the end of Steph's career. But we'll
Hmm.
see what kind of offseason they have in store. So, but yeah, congrats to Minnesota, man, making it to back Western
Let's
Conference
go,
Finals.
Jared.
Yeah, a little bit of an easy road, I would say, especially with the Golden State Warriors. But big props to them, man. Ant's got it. Ant's got it going right now. So, like I
Yeah,
said, he struggled early, but he's got it going now.
yeah, I will say, even though I do root for the Warriors, I called Minnesota winning. I actually have
Yeah.
Minnesota going to the NBA Finals. Can't remember.
Mm.
I don't think I have them win. No, I don't have them winning it because we both had the Celtics, which is not looking really good right now. Um,
Yeah.
but I do have Minnesota going to the finals, which might end up making me look kind of smart, but we'll see. They've choked in the past. So, but if they
Yeah.
make it to the finals, Jared, if you're listening, you're coming on, and we are going to let you just talk your talk, man. We're just letting you just soak it all in. But yeah, that's all I
Yeah.
got to say about that.
Yeah. Well, whoever whoever they meet in the next round is going to be an extremely tough out, which is a great segue into our last um, series here that we'll talk about, the Thunder and the Nuggets. They are actually playing right now with Oklahoma City up 3-2 on the Denver Nuggets right now. So we'll kind of take it game by game, I guess, just because I've been watching this one pretty closely. I don't know. I guess I'll just ask you at the beginning, how many games have you watched really of this series, and how informed do you feel?
Well, I've tried to watch a lot of them, but one, it's hard to find it. Um, and then I'll use that illegal website that you like to use all the time, but not to call you out here. I've watched. I didn't watch game one. I watched game two where OKC just absolutely wiped the floor with Denver.
Okay.
Um, and then yeah, I missed game three. Watched a little bit of the next game, so I haven't been able
Yes.
to catch a lot of it, but I'll watch like the highlights and different analysis on it. So
Yeah. Before the series even started, I was nervous for this one just because a lot of people were like, "Oh, OKC is gonna wipe the floor. Like Nuggets aren't very deep and all that." I was like, "No, dude. Like before the series even started, I was like, bro, this is Jokic. This is that championship DNA that we always talk about." And
right.
after the first game, bro, I was nervous. I was like, Nuggets might wipe us in five because they came storming back in that game one. Aaron Gordon hitting that huge three with just a couple seconds left after
Mm-hmm.
some terrible uh, coaching decisions and just fouling decisions down the stretch by the Thunder. Huge game from Russell Westbrook. He had like 21 points off the bench. I was like, man, if they're buzzing like this, like we're gonna be toast. But
Mm-hmm.
everything kind of evened back out after the second game when we blew them out by like 40 points. That was just us making every single three that we chucked up and the Nuggets making nothing. So that was kind of a product of that. Um, and that was a good win. I was like, all right, finally, but like you can't really rely on that kind of shooting all the time.
Right.
And then game three was a little bit tough too. As soon as we went to overtime, just how that game was playing out with Michael Porter Jr. actually hitting like several like six or seven threes. I was like, all right, if this guy's hitting, like we might be in trouble. As soon as it went to overtime, I was like, I don't think we're gonna I don't think we're gonna be pulling through with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really frustrating, honestly, down the stretch, just because we were forcing the ball to Shea when Jalen Williams was our best player in that game. Like he was hitting everything. He had 32 points. And in crunch time twice in the the um, regular time and in
Mm-hmm.
overtime, we went to Shea Gilgis Alexander both times. I was like, why
Yeah.
aren't you riding the hot hand? Like, what are we doing here? And it came
Yeah.
back to bite us, and they ended up beating us by 6 or 7. Um, we grinded out a pretty solid game four dub. I wasn't really expecting that, but I'm very glad that we got it. And then we were able to get a game five dub as well. Coming back, we were down for like 90% of that game really, and we are able to just get the lead at the end. despite Jokic's 44, which he had, which is absolutely crazy. He wasn't
Crazy.
getting any help from his supporting cast, and that came back to bite the Nuggets. So we're sitting pretty good right now with a 3-2 series lead. Playing right now, I believe I think it's tied right now, but hoping we get it now because Game 7, man, anything can happen. But
Yeah,
that's
man.
a little bit of a kind of a recap into all those games. Those a little bit more detailed. But what do you got to say about this series being, I think, one of the more entertaining ones we've seen? Maybe right up there with the Celtics and the Knicks. And who do you got moving on?
Yeah, the unfortunately for the Nuggets, they've been in two of the tightest series so far in these playoffs. They
Yeah,
took it to a game 7 with the Clippers, and now possibly a game 7 with OKC. So I really didn't think the Nuggets were going to do as well as they have been doing. Obviously, I didn't even have them winning against the Clippers without their head coach that they fired like weeks before the
yeah,
playoffs started. They have an interim right now who's doing a lot, which it's funny watching him. He doesn't look very like assertive.
no,
Like
yeah.
he's just kind of like standing there, not doing a whole lot. And I was just like, well,
I
I
think a
guess,
lot of the coaching, honestly, is like between like Jokic and Russ really running the
yeah,
team.
I've seen
Because
those clips.
yeah, I think he kind of costed them Game 4 because Michael
Mm,
Porter Jr. was having a terrible game, and he basically played him the whole fourth quarter,
yeah.
not taking him out. I just don't think that he has really that backbone to be like, all right, max contract player, I'm taking you out for the fourth quarter kind of thing,
Hmm.
even if he's not hitting. So, that comes with experience, but the guy's literally had an NBA coaching job all time for like 6 weeks now. So
Yeah.
it's a tough time to be kind of thrown into the fire here. But yeah, I'm glad that he's coaching them. I think we definitely have the coaching advantage on that one. But
Definitely.
yeah, that's a little bit of a recap into all the series that are going on right now. Obviously, we have a really good second round, a couple series already wrapping up, like we just mentioned, and the two series that are still ongoing are in for some really really good games. So I'm really hopeful for those, and then obviously going into the conference finals, it's just getting to be some really good basketball going on. So it's fun to watch for sure. Last thing we'll mention here is just about the NBA draft lottery. Some crazy stuff going on in there. Shockingly, or should I say shockingly, the Dallas Mavericks now own the number one pick in the NBA draft lottery with only a 1.8% chance to win the NBA draft lottery. Um, yeah, I could say a lot about this, but I'll just hand it over to Fezzi and see what his thoughts are about Mavericks getting the Cooper Flag sweepstakes here. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, I tend to be a bit of a conspiracy theorist. But honestly, my first reaction to this was just like, whether it was rigged or not, I was just like, of course they did. And I think I texted you right away as soon as they won it. I was just like, dude, Nico Harrison probably just broke down and cried. Obviously, clips have come out. He obviously didn't do that, but he was very excited, as the rest of them were. But it was just funny seeing the comments on the different posts. It was like, Nico could walk around without security now, this, that, and the other. And I know
So
you'll kind of
crazy,
get
yeah.
into what you think about it with it being rigged and stuff like that. But I want to get your take quick. This has been going around, and I think it would be absolutely absurd if they did this. People are saying that they should use the number one pick to acquire like a Giannis or someone else, like a huge free agent, instead of actually drafting Cooper Flag. And I'm just like, dude, if they do that,
They're gonna
Dallas
burn his
will
house down.
burn. That not just his house, dude.
Yeah.
Dallas will burn because you can't trade Luca and then trade the number one pick. Not just the number one pick, a generational, well, some say a generational talent in Cooper Flag. Like you just can't do that in the same season, like within months of each other. And the
Mm-hmm.
way your season went and the way it's looking, like you have a decent team. Just put Cooper Flag on it and see what you got at the end of the day. But I kind of want to get your take. Like, what do you think they should do or what they will do? And then you can talk about the other stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask you that question.
Well, first of all, I think the NBA draft lottery is stupid. Um, I think they should go to the NFL model where if you're the worst team in the league, you
Right.
get the worst or the first pick. I understand that it doesn't like discourage tanking. Like if you're bad, you're just going to try to lose as much as you can to get that first pick. But then, like, I mean, obviously the NBA is like, I feel like the most riggable league out of all the leagues because of obviously these
Yeah.
trades that happen, like with Luka, and then obviously with the lottery as well. The way that they can, manipulate, even though it's
Mhm.
supposed to be like, oh yeah, per chance kind of thing. Like they can, there's ways, bro. There's ways. Like going back like decades, like I don't remember exactly which pick it was, but like it's almost like a known thing now that like a certain I can't remember what year it was, but a certain lottery was rigged because they bended one of the corners on one of the like sheets that they were like supposed to be pulling, all that stuff. But anyways,
Really?
that's like a whole thing. We can get
That's
into that at a
wild.
different time. But I don't think that there's any doubt, bro, that this was rigged. Like Dallas had the 11th
Whoa.
11th best odds to get the number 1 pick at 1.8%. Um, Utah, Washington, Charlotte all had a 14% chance to get it. New Orleans was in there. Brooklyn, Toronto, Phoenix all had better odds to get the number 1 pick. And you're going to tell me that like the franchise
Mhm.
that traded away their centerpiece, their star to LA is the one team that's going to get that? It's literally like, I think it's like the third worst
Right.
odds to ever get the number 1 pick in NBA history. And not only that, but like I'll raise you one more. We understand that NBA is like obsessed with big market teams. Obviously, that came in with the whole Luka trade and everything. Anytime there's
Mhm.
any kind of player that might be on the move, New York, LA, New York, LA, New York, LA, like the draft order, I think is despicable. Like Dallas 1, San Antonio 2, Philadelphia 3, when the top 3 picks were Utah, Washington, and Charlotte. New Orleans
Yeah.
4, Philly was at the 5th best odds. But like, how do we get to that order from where we were at? Like, that's just
Mm.
that's just ridiculous to me. I like I said, I don't think that like as soon as this happened, bro, I went online and like I thought like I was like when this kind of stuff happens, I'm like am I in the minority here? Like I know there's conspiracy theorists out there, but it was like consensus. Like everybody knew, like, yeah, sure, dude. Like you trade away your centerpiece. Adam Silver makes
Yeah.
a call and be like, yo, you trade away Luca, we'll give you the number 1 pick next year for Cooper Flag. Like
Right.
everybody was saying that. So like I don't even think it's really even like, is it really that far fetched now that this stuff is rigged? Like, that's
Mhm.
just ridiculous. That's just like wide open, like
Mhm.
yeah, it's just out there, bro. So,
Yeah.
we can go into a lot more detail maybe in the off season or something about maybe making an episode about that. But I would just encourage anybody to go on YouTube and just put in like either NBA rigged or like NBA draft lottery or NBA draft rigged, and you'll like find like 10-15 minute videos where it's just like it's not even like that far fetched that they like rigged it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's Patrick Ewing to New York, was the one that I was talking about earlier, where they like clipped the corner of one of the cards. So, and
Mm.
that's the one that David Stern picks, and he's like, "Oh, they got
Gotcha.
the number 1 pick," and it's like, "Oh, New York, shocker." So,
Wow.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just think that's absolutely insane. Like, there's never been a bigger jump from the 11th best odds to number 1 pick, I think, ever. So,
Yeah. Mhm.
um, yeah, but from what I've seen so far, it does look like Dallas is going to take Cooper Flag from what they've said.
Better.
Like you said, Dallas will burn to the ground if they didn't. Imagine they just traded it for like I guess Giannis wouldn't be a terrible haul when you pairing him with the team with the players that they've got, but like
Right.
man, dude, that would,
I
that would be insane. But there's no way. I don't think there's any way they do that.
I
But
mean, if it didn't burn after they did that, if they didn't win a championship that season, it would definitely burn after that. Like,
so
I mean,
crazy.
because you got Kyrie who's still out. Anthony Davis is made of glass. Sure,
Yeah,
Giannis is durable. Like, but what are you gonna have? Like some scrubs, Clay Thompson and Giannis running around out there?
yeah.
Like, that's not
Kyrie's
really a.
coming off an Achilles too, like he's or an ACL. I'm sorry. So who
Mhm.
knows what he's going to look like? His whole game is based off shiftiness and his athleticism. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah, we'll
definitely.
see. But that'll conclude the basketball portion of the podcast. Obviously, some pretty crazy stuff going on in the playoffs. Little conspiracy theories. Obviously, maybe we'll, like I said, we might bring that back around in the summer when we're really struggling for content. But yeah, that'll do it for the basketball portion of the podcast. And we'll get into soccer in just a moment. hopping over the pond as we usually do, coming down to the wire in all leagues across the European continent. Titles being decided, cup finals being decided. But we're going to start off in the Premier League as we usually do. Liverpool done and dusted in the league there. Just wanted to talk about, I guess, just one of the games that was pretty good from this past weekend. Liverpool and Arsenal, 1-2. Ended in a tie, 2-2. I'm not sure if Fezzy Boy, you watched this game at all. We actually had a red card eventually, Mikel Merino in the 80th minute.
Did see that,
Obviously
yeah.
pretty late on, but pretty good game by Arsenal overall. Obviously, we were still kind of lingering from that PSG defeat, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But we played most of our starters, at least those guys that were available. Because the only reason I can see them playing their starters is just because we're still in a heated battle, honestly, to hold on to that second place spot. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter too much, but I'd still like for us to finish above Man City, who are a little bit resurgent here. But I know I said I probably wouldn't hand it over to you too much, but not sure if you even watched the Liverpool Arsenal game. Did you, or you have any opinions on Arsenal and Liverpool overall this season?
Overall this season, obviously Liverpool's been the better team, but I think Arsenal's been right there. Liverpool just kind of like took it over early on and really didn't look back. But your Arsenal really came into form, especially with their the injuries that they had. I think they did really well, regardless of the players that they had out. I did not watch this game. I saw the score. I did see the red card. Like I didn't see like what happened with the red card. I did see there was a red card. But all in all, like obviously Liverpool has nothing to play for. Arsenal kind of just playing for pride after being knocked out of the Champions League. Obviously, they threw all their eggs in one basket in that sense. But good result for both. I mean, just taking a point, both staying at the top of the table. Kind of just locking up their places. Obviously, Liverpool's not going anywhere. They got the 1 seed, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Still 15 points between Liverpool and Arsenal, so it's not even really close towards
Crazy.
the end, which is obviously really unfortunate. But the Champions League race in England is gearing up to be
Spicy.
really really good down the stretch. Obviously, Arsenal in second, 68 points. Newcastle third, 66. Man City 65. Chelsea in 63 points. Aston Villa 63. Nottingham Forest 62. So not too long ago, we were talking about Nottingham Forest kind of locking up that third spot, and
Uh-huh.
boy, how times change. Man City's come surging up the table, as well as Newcastle. Chelsea kind of just staying right where they have been all season.
Yeah.
Several teams moving up and down around them, and Nottingham Forest kind of dropping out after they had a huge choke job against Leicester City, a team that's going to be going down at the end of the
Uh-huh.
season. They were up 1-0. Everything seemed swimmingly, but then they ended up tying at the very end. So their Champions League chances are not in their own hands anymore. So they'll need some help from either Aston Villa or Chelsea, or even Man City, possibly, with 2 games remaining. But just wanted to touch on Chelsea really quick. As I just said, holding on to that 5th spot, which will get you into a Champions League next season. For this year, obviously that extra spot going to England this year. Do you think Chelsea holds on? I know you weren't too optimistic about them, even though they were in a Champions League spot a couple weeks ago. But you think you guys
Yeah.
hold on, or you guys think you're going to be playing Europa League ball next year?
I could quite easily see us playing some Europa next season, but I mean, that's just like Chelsea nowadays. Like, I had so much hope at the beginning, and now we're barely clinging on to the extra spot that the Premier League
Yeah.
gets because they're one of the bigger leagues in the world. So that's just so Chelsea. Like, we need an olive branch extended just to possibly get into the Champions League.
Yeah.
Um, I would love to see us in the Champions League. I think it was on the last episode. I was kind of ranting about how the frick we're in the freaking conference league. And,
Well, if you win that, you'll be in the Europa. So
yeah. So regardless, we'll take a step up, but I don't know. I'm not too high on them. Granted, I did like full disclosure, especially to you guys in the pod. I was telling Sam off pod that I have dropped the ball when it comes to soccer. I don't know, man. Like the Premier League's been like done and dusted. And you guys can tell us in the comments if you guys have felt this way too. But like Premier League's done and dusted. There really hasn't been a whole lot to play for. Now we got Champions League spots, so I will be tuning in to see like if Chelsea holds on, Nottingham Forest can make a surge because there's, as Sam was laying out, there's only 6 points between second and seventh right now. So I mean, people start dropping games, it could get pretty dicey coming up on the last day. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I've dropped the ball on soccer, so Sam's definitely going to carry this segment this week. But I'll
yeah. I feel like
pick it up here soon.
Yeah, I feel like there's no better, I guess, visual of Chelsea's season except the last two games in the league, at least. Chelsea winning against title winners Liverpool, giving them one of their few losses on the season, 3-1.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortable dub there on May 4th. And the
Yeah.
next league game, Newcastle, who are like scratching and clawing for that Champions League spot, lose
Mhm.
2-0 and have a guy sent off. Like, it's just so crazy.
Well, that's just that is such a sign of an immature team. Like, oh yeah, we're talented and whatever, and we can turn up against the big boys. But then when we're playing like an Ipswich or a Brighton or a Brentford, we're just like, oh yeah, we can take the day off. Like, no, that's such an immature, like, sign of an immature team. I hate it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, your team is super young now. Like your oldest guy now is probably like Enzo Fernandez or somebody. Also, like this hasn't been talked about enough this year. But holy one season wonder for Cole Palmer, bro. Like we
Dude,
were talking
don't get me
about him
started.
being world class.
Don't get me
Ballon
started.
d'Or,
Oh
whatever.
my gosh.
And now he can't buy one.
We should sell him for the change in someone's pocket at this point. Holy crap, man. We were singing his praises all season long. Everyone was like, I can't remember the guy's name, but some scrub from Atlanta was like seventh in Ballon d'Or, and like Cole Palmer barely cracked the top 10 last year for Ballon d'Or. And it was like, what the heck? He should have been higher. I'm just like, honestly, I'm not gonna say I saw this coming, but I was just like, I was tempering my expectations because I was like, we have been had before by these expensive young players, and I'm just when it comes to Chelsea, I just don't get too excited anymore. I just, you know what? There's hasn't been a lot to get excited about, and when there is, like the beginning of this season, we end up like this. So
Yeah.
that's what I gotta say.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you're playing
man.
Manchester United tomorrow, so
I will probably lose that game too.
yeah, I'm curious to see if Manchester United are going to rest guys for their Europa League final coming up, or if they'll pray for
Yeah.
pride against a big time rival and try to get you guys try to get one over on you guys there. And then the last match day of the season, Nottingham Forest, who are also scratching and clawing. So we'll see how you guys end that one. But at least you have the Club World Cup coming up in the summer.
Oh my freaking goodness! Thank goodness.
You've qualified for that based on your Champions League win from like 5 years ago or some crap.
And none of those players are there anymore.
No,
None of them.
But yeah, so we'll see how Chelsea end up here at the end of the season. But a couple teams that have not had great seasons that I thought I'd mention: Manchester United and Tottenham. I mean, goodness gracious, brother.
So
Manchester
bad.
United laboring in 16th place, 39 points, and then Tottenham in 17th.
Could Tottenham get relegated?
No. The last three have already been decided. They're lucky.
Okay.
Like these three teams
We're bad enough, like bad enough.
We're terrible. Yeah, they were the three teams that got promoted last year from the championship, and they were so bad that like, you know, the relegation race wasn't really a race. It was just kind of known from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, but if there was an actual like, you know, mixture of teams in there, they might be, you know, in danger. But obviously, Man United's season kind of got scrapped, you know, as soon as they let go of their coach and everything. But I don't think Tottenham's been getting enough crap for how bad they've been. They're under Man United, and they're supposed to be a team that's consistently in the Big Six. So
they got to be getting rid of their coach, right?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the Europa League final.
That's true. If he brings up their first trophy in like forever.
Yeah, so crazy that both those teams have a chance at Champions League football next season because of the Europa League. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But hopping over to Germany, just to give a little bit of a recap. Harry Kane finally getting his first trophy at Bayern.
Wow.
Man's like 33 years old, finally won a title. Obviously, great player, just been on really bad teams, mainly at Tottenham. And had a chance with England a couple times, always coming in second. But he's finally getting his first trophy of his career. It's kind of funny. I was seeing some videos after the big dub, and he didn't really know what to do with himself. He was just kind of like, yeah. It's like,
Has it been there before?
Yeah, it's not been there before. So it was funny
Oh,
to watch him like take selfies. He's like, what do we do,
oh,
guys? Like, I want a trophy. So
yeah.
cool to see that, I guess.
So funny.
Not a fan of Bayern winning, obviously, but good for him, whatever.
Yeah.
Another little bit of a storyline here is Dortmund getting an impressive 4-2 away win at Bayer Leverkusen, giving themselves a good chance to hopefully play Champions League football next year. As long as Freiburg tie or lose and they win, they'll get that Champions League spot in fourth place, which is crazy. Just because they've been laboring in mid-table most of the year. So the fact that they have a chance at Champions League football late on in the season is pretty cool. Hopefully they get there. I just love the Champions League with a team like Borussia Dortmund in there. So that's a little bit on the German side of things. Hopping over to Italy with a little Serie A action. That title race has actually become really, really interesting down the stretch with Napoli and Inter. Inter dropping points several times throughout the last few weeks, and Napoli really surging late on. Napoli actually went into the weekend with a 3-point advantage over Inter, but they actually tied, which opened the door for Inter to close the gap. So Napoli does hold a 1-point advantage over Inter right now. A little bit of a caveat into that. If they end the game, this has been changed as of, I think, a year or two ago. If number 1 and number 2 are even on points, they will play a one-off match to decide the title in Italy now, which I think is really, really cool.
Is that just in Italy?
I believe so. I don't think that's
They
a
don't go
thing
to
anywhere
tiebreakers.
else. So yeah,
That's
most
awesome.
tiebreakers either go to either head-to-head points or goals scored or something like that. So I really like that tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Like, just settle it on the field, man. Like, one. It might be a neutral site. I'm not entirely sure of that, but that's the best way to finish it. Like, if you're tied, one match for all the marbles. So I love that
for sure.
But switching over to the Cup, only talking about this because Fezzy Boy is a little bit of an AC Milan fan, I would say, just because of Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa and a couple other American guys we have over there. Absolute choke job against Bologna in the Coppa Italia final. Obviously, Milan, as of right now, as it stands, they have a little bit of a chance, an outside chance to maybe get Europa League or Conference League football, which obviously isn't great. But they had a chance to obviously guarantee a spot in Europe for next season. But they lose 1-0 to Bologna, who haven't won a trophy since, I believe, 74. So, big time upset there over AC Milan. So, what do you got to say about the boys, the American boys over there, not being able to get it done and get them into the Europa for next season?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying this because I'm biased, but like stats wise, Christian Pulisic's been the most influential player, not only on that team, but in all of Serie A. He's like right up there with like Martinez and who's the striker from Inter?
Lautaro Martinez.
Well, yeah, Lautaro Martinez, and who's the other one?
From Inter as well.
Yeah, is he a striker? I can't remember his name.
Dumfries.
Not Dumfries. I don't know. It'll come to me. But yeah, it hasn't really been like Christian Pulisic's fault or Moose's fault. They've played well. It's just the team as a whole, I think, needs an overhaul this offseason. Like they've fired multiple managers in one season, really trying to find the right guy for that job. So it's just been a very chaotic season for AC Milan, which they're not really used to. They're usually always in the top 4, fighting for those Champions League spots. I wouldn't say they're necessarily the past few seasons since they've won the Scudetto. Was that like 3 or 4 years ago now?
I think this will be 3. So
3 seasons ago. Since then, they've just kind of like, I don't know, taken a dive in form. But it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing. I did just see a headline when I was looking up the table. They might lose Reinders to Manchester City, which would be a huge
interesting
hit. That would be great for Manchester City. I think he's been one of their best consistent players. They need to try to figure out what they're going to do with Leao. Like, on his day, unplayable. And I would love to keep him if he would show up
Be interesting
But
to see if he wants out, go to Champions League team.
it's true. That's true. If there's going to be a lot going on at AC Milan this offseason if they definitely don't make the Champions League, which is, probably going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I was really hopeful after they won that Scudetto, that was like obviously they'd spent several years away from the top of Serie A. I was hoping that that would really be
Mm.
the gateway back, where it's just like it's them, it's Juventus, it's Inter every year,
Mm-hmm.
fighting for it, like kind of like it used to be. But unfortunately, they've taken quite a bit of a step back here. Might not even play Europe next season. And Inter has kind of kicked on and kind of been the consistent just a consistent team up there. Obviously, they won it
Mm-hmm.
last year. They made it to the Champions League final twice in 3 years. They've definitely announced themselves as being back, because they were kind of in that same spot with AC Milan. End of 2010s, where it was the dog days for both of those teams, and obviously they've both kind of made resurgent comebacks, but AC Milan kind of dropping down again, and we'll see kind of what the overhaul is like if they're able to get a more consistent coach in there. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping that they come back, because I do, out of both of the Milan teams, I do like AC Milan a lot better. I just remember, bro, I mean,
Yeah.
again, this is me just like old history, whatever. But like when I first started watching, bro, the team that they had, actually along with Inter, but them especially, absolutely unplayable. Like the legends that they had on their team back then,
Mm.
coached by Ancelotti, a young Ancelotti with like Pirlo and Pato and all those guys. Like, I mean, goodness,
Yeah,
Maldini, bro. Those are the days. I don't know if you've ever
dude.
seen any of those reels, but I've seen
Yeah.
several where it's AC Milan against Inter Milan, and
Mm-hmm.
just every single player that they like cut to, legend,
Legend.
absolute unplayable legend. They used to have some crazy derby days back in the day, but
Dude, Serie A back in the day, man,
dude,
it was
that was the league when I
it
first
was
started watching. The
loaded.
Prem was up there, but they were
Mm-hmm.
like considered probably second
Mm-hmm.
after Serie A, because they were just some unplayable guys back
Just
then.
so loaded. I just wanted to ask you something quick. This isn't in the doc, but I was just like taking a look at the table. Atalanta, after that crazy Champions League run they had like years ago, they have consistently just
They've had to
been
reload, but yeah,
they've consistently just been like decent, like really
yeah,
decent. I mean, Champions League every season, top four in Serie A. Um, I mean, they were pushing for top of the league this season. I think last season as well.
yeah.
They won the Europa League last season. Um, yeah, I mean, what do you have to say about that? Like making a good run in the Champions League goes a long way for a club.
Yeah, I think that you've seen this a little bit with English clubs, making it to Europe and constantly having to kind of sell players and then reload. We've seen Brighton do that. Obviously, maybe not quite Europe level, but being
Mm-hmm.
able to reload and still be competitive. I think that they've done it to like the nth degree. Obviously, like you said, multiple Champions League runs now. I remember the initial run that they had like back. I remember when they played Manchester United when they had Ronaldo like that one year, and they were doing really
Mm,
well then. Obviously, they've kind of had to sell several players just because they were really good, and then obviously they've been able to reload as well with getting a couple guys from other teams that maybe are a little bit past their prime, or maybe not quite to the level at some other bigger clubs like a Juventus or an Inter Milan, and
mm-hmm.
been able to get the best out of them for sure. So I think it's an impressive job by their front office and just the coach as well that they've had over there for a long time. So yeah, big props to them for sure.
Yeah.
Consistently being that top four. Moving over to Spain, the La Liga is officially decided. Now, it wasn't officially decided after the El Clasico that we're going to get into, but Barcelona's win today over their crosstown rivals Espanyol officially gives them the title for the first time since 2022, I want to say. Barcelona have definitely announced themselves as being back in the European football, I would say. But it wasn't all roses on the day. They went down 2-0 early. I was very annoyed, by the way, at the start time for this game, because usually they have it a lot
Yeah.
later in the day. Started at 10:15, which is like right before obviously our church service, which obviously we're going to church, so I'm not watching it. But I was just like very upset that was so. I was kind of like following it,
Mm-hmm.
halfway. Like, all right, worship service is done. Let me just look at this real quick. So But I saw that they went up 2-0. Mbappe braced really, really early on. I believe they came back to no, I think they went off 4 unanswered, didn't they? I think it went 4-2.
Yeah.
And then Mbappe added a third, so obviously he got a hat trick on the day, which is pretty impressive.
Hmm.
But ultimately, not enough. Barcelona come out 4-3 victors on the day. Barcelona not just go undefeated, but have beaten Madrid every single time that they've played them this year, which I don't think has happened since like 2010 maybe, when they had the really super stacked squad when they were winning everything.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Barcelona definitely announcing themselves as back on the European stage,
Sure.
winning the Super Cup, the Spanish Cup, and then obviously now the league. So a little bit of a treble or domestic treble there. What do you got to say about your Barca boys coming in clutch here?
Dude, okay, funny story about the start time to this game. I actually had to usher on this day, and part of ushering duty is someone has to watch the cameras during the service. So I don't really I don't have a chance to pay attention to the service because I can't really hear it back in the office where I'm watching the cameras. So I turned the game on. I was watching a little bit. I was probably watching a lot,
This
but
guy.
perfectly turned out that I had to usher that day. And, as it would happen, I was watching cameras that day. So I got to watch quite a bit of this game. And then I had it on, obviously, the second half when we left church while we were driving home. Dude, I was texting one of my friends that I played college soccer with, and he's a Barca fan as well. And dude, we were both just like, it is so good as a Barca fan to see them not only be competitive, because we've been competitive before. I mean, with Xavi, we won that one league title, kind of a little fluky, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that was a little bit of lightning in the bottle kind of
But
six.
like this is just straight up dominance. Now we had a tough draw with Inter in the Champions League, which we'll get to. So I'll kind of save my remarks for that section of the podcast. But dude, it is so good to see them dominate Real Madrid, win the league, and just have players to be excited about. Like ever since we lost Messi, we've been in financial turmoil.
Even
Um,
before that, last couple of seasons were not pretty with him.
not pretty. Like leading up to Messi exiting, it was not great. A lot of turmoil around the club, just kind of like a dark cloud hanging over the club. But dude, to be back, to have players that play really well, to have a competent coach that really, I mean, people get on him for playing that high line, and obviously it bit us a little bit in some of
So
the bigger
crazy,
games.
dude.
So obviously that's something that needs to change. But dude, other than that, very organized, giving young guys a chance to play and really, really show what they can do in big games like Kubarsi, Lamine Yamal, like Pedri, people like that. So I mean, I can't say enough. I could go on, and obviously I'm not going to because I could go really long. But it's just so good to see Barca competitive, playing really well, and like you said, one of the top teams in Europe, like they should be once again.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you're top team in Europe yet. Still don't that got that Champions League, so
I knew you
that's
were
the
gonna say
next
that. We were
stop.
both
This next
sending
stop,
we were
but
both sending memes back and forth after. There was one I
um,
wish I could find it, but the meme or the reel of that little kid who's kind of like he's just sitting there like like whining, and it says send this to your Real Madrid fans, and it was like that kid,
that
and
was
then
pretty
in the
funny.
caption it was like, oh, we've won the Champions League. We have so many league titles, this, and this, and I was just like, I
Yeah,
should have sent that to Sam, but I was like, not going.
yeah.
And then you sent me that other one where it was like, it was like, what was it? It was the
I can't
William
remember.
Defoe going, uh, "You're Barca fan." He's like, he's not gay, but he
Oh,
has he has a strong
yeah.
connection to classical music, and it's just like Barca fans. I was like,
Yeah. I
frick,
forgot I sent you that one, but yeah,
frick.
yeah. No, honestly, just huge respect to Barca. Obviously, beating Madrid every single time is really hard. I think it's really hard to beat one or the other all the times that they play, especially how many times that they were. I think they played each other more this season than they have in like a really long time. Because obviously there
Mm,
was like the Super Cup, and then there was the Spanish Cup, which
mm-hmm.
it's pretty rare that they both get to the final for that. I think that was the first time since 14. And then like obviously you had twice in the league, so they just played each other a lot, and to win all of those matchups is really impressive. um but so like I mean, huge props to them. Domestic trouble, that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
um And I think it's cool to have them back, but I don't think that the panic at Madrid should necessarily be as big as it is, just because like honestly, this is the first time that Barcelona has had a better season than Madrid since like what 2016, 17.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Hmm.
it's great for Barca, it's great for them, but like I don't think this needs to be like a 9-1-1 to Madrid. They were
No.
honestly struggling all year with injuries. Like we were playing academy guys at backline at towards the end of
Hmm.
the season. They obviously need a lot of backline help. I think they've already signed, as I saw today, a really young up and coming defender from England on a
Yeah,
big time
Bournemouth. That's
50 mil.
huge.
Yeah, huge for them. So struggling with a lot of that. Mbappe, I mean, he's top scorer in La Liga, so it's not like
Yeah.
Real Madrid is it's completely like, doom and
No.
gloom, like Barca's gonna dominate forever, because I think they're gonna come back stronger than ever. They still have Mbappe and Bellingham and all the keys and tools to win,
Hmm.
to be right up with there with Barcelona for sure. Um so yeah, I mean, great that Barcelona is back, but kind of take a step back and look at the bigger picture. It's not all doom and gloom for Barcelona, or for Real Madrid. I mean, Ancelotti will be leaving officially at the end of the season, with Xabi Alonso coming in. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Ancelotti, I think he's the greatest manager, or one of, in the
Yeah.
history of the game. But I think maybe somebody had to go after this season, and I think it was time for him. He's getting a little bit older. I like that he's going to Brazil. I think that might be huge for them.
That would be
But I
big.
also love Xabi Alonso coming in. Spanish guy, played for the club,
Hmm.
amazing season at Bayer Leverkusen. If he's able to bring them from relegation to winning, a domestic treble in Germany, like I have really big hopes for what he can do for Madrid coming in. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, big respect to Barcelona, but
Yes,
we'll run it
sir.
back next year and see what happens. So,
We'll see, man.
but yeah, so that'll kind of do it for Spain. We're gonna step out to the European competitions now. We're actually gonna start out with the Champions League. I feel like this is
Yes.
really old news at this point, but we're
Yeah.
gonna end up talking about the second leg of the semis here. We'll talk first about Arsenal and PSG. Honestly, a little bit foggy on a lot of the details of that one, but I do remember us losing that 2-1. So 3-1 on aggregate. I do believe, I can't remember if this is exactly correct, but I think we took the lead in that second leg. So that gave us a lot of hope, but PSG ultimately too good on the day. Obviously, Dembele. I'm sorry, Dembele did score first on that.
He did, yeah,
Because
real
I was
quick.
like, oh man, is this going to be like a rout pretty early on or what? But um,
Yeah.
yeah, I just I feel like we just didn't have everybody firing. I mean, Saka had a good game, but again, just the lack of striker. I say this every episode now. I'm glad Thomas Partey came back, but that lack of striker really hurt us in the game.
Hmm.
We had some good shots, good opportunities, but just skying like really easy, like inside the box shots. Martin Odegaard had some good opportunities, couldn't make him count. But PSG, man, they're just good. Obviously, like I said in the first leg, their midfield I think was outplayed by us, but that was not the case in the second leg. They were able to really come back, and Hakimi had a really good game too. So, they was just the better team, honestly, over both legs. Unfortunately, and I'm glad that they're going to the final. It's not a team that you're hating losing against. Obviously, would love for us to have been in the final. It goes without saying, but I wouldn't be mad if this PSG team won the whole thing. So, not sure if you had too much to add to that. Just kind of done and dusted by PSG here.
Yeah, I mean, this was the game that I didn't. Obviously, I paid more attention to the other tie that was happening, but I did watch a bit of this one, even though I was at work. I was rooting for Arsenal as well. I thought it'd be really cool, especially if it was Arsenal versus Barcelona, which would have set up a cool little podcast episode between both of our teams in the Champions League final. But obviously, it wasn't to be for Arsenal. I think, like you were saying, just to echo what you were saying, yeah, the lack of a striker really was tough. Someone that could be super clinical in front of goal, kind of hold up play, give you some options up front. Um, really weren't any opportunities for Rice to get free kicks in. That like I don't really remember any free kicks that were quite close enough or on someone's right foot for Rice to have a chance. So
Yeah.
um, Nope, I'm thinking of the other game. Sorry, I was about to say Summer had a huge game, but that's that's the other tie. But no, Donnarumma had a huge. Didn't he win Man of the Match as
Massive.
well?
Oh, this was what annoys me when it's so far back. But like I do remember at least 3 saves where they were
Yeah,
world class saves by
and
Donnarumma.
only he's making them because of how
Yeah.
tall he is, how big he is.
Yeah. I mean, there was one Saka shot where he did one of those signature, like, I think it was on his left foot, but he curls it like far post, and Donnarumma like gets a fingertip
Yeah.
to it. I was like, goodness gracious. Like
Hmm.
that's an insane save. Absolutely insane.
I
So
feel bad for
he had a crazy game.
I feel bad for Saka. I feel like he missed a big chance at the end. Now that we're like talking and I'm remembering this,
Yep.
like it wasn't quite a sitter. It was a
Yeah.
tough ball,
Should have
but
been put
like
on goal for sure.
someone of his caliber, he blew it over the top, and I'm just like that was the chance to get back in it. I think it would have tied it. I don't think it would have won it, but near the end he had a chance to tie it, and it would have changed the game for sure.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I'll get your opinion on this just as a quote unquote neutral.
Hmm.
What do you got to say about Mikel Arteta not being able to get it done here? Obviously, he's been
Whoa.
at the club for a long time now. I think this is his 6th season. He technically has 3 trophies to his name, but one
Hmm.
of them was the FA Cup in his very first season, which I believe was 20, so 5 years ago. And then he has 2 community shields, but like, can you really count those? Like one of them
Hmm.
we were in because that was the year that Man City won the FA Cup and the league. So we really shouldn't have even been in the game. And they're one-off games anyway. So do community shields really count? But as a fan of Arsenal, like I love that he's gotten us back to the mountaintop where we're competing for Champions Leagues, competing for,
Hmm.
we're always second in the Premier League now, not first. Good note. But like obviously we're back in the Champions League and all that and
Mm,
competing, but not being able to get the job done. But what do you got to say about you know, I guess not job security necessarily, but
mm.
I guess what do you have to say about Arteta not being able to get it done, just being that second place team, I guess, all the time now?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about job security because I was going to comment on that and say I don't think he's on the hot seat because of the run you made in the Champions League. Now, if you were just looking at the league, was this like the third season you've come up second in a row
Yeah.
since he's taken over? So I think strictly based on your Champions League run, and like you alluded to, the injuries that you had, not having a true striker, you did a lot with a little in the Champions League, I will say. And so in that aspect, I think he's the guy you need to ride with. I don't know, man. The Premier League, I don't have any answers. Like you have a squad that's capable of doing it. I just feel like it's either Manchester City or Liverpool that are just head and shoulders above everybody in the league every
Yeah.
year. So I don't even think it's more of an Arteta thing. I think it's just like you really just gotta put it all together for a season because one of those two, Liverpool or Manchester City, are going to, and it's just really hard. Me personally, I would stick with Arteta. Like I said, his job's fine after beating Real Madrid, going to the semis, playing PSG pretty tight with what you had. I mean, PSG is just loaded
Yeah.
with talent, and you guys were just hit so hard with injuries.
Yeah.
So I think he's the
Yeah,
guy.
honestly, the fact that those 2 legs weren't blowouts was kind of surprising, but
Yeah, because everyone was saying that they were like, yeah, Arsenal's midfield, but that's about it. Like they were pretty harsh on your guys' back line,
yeah,
which I
QPR for
I
sure.
didn't really see. Granted, I don't pay attention to Arsenal as much as you do or other people do, but I was just like, I don't know. Arsenal's back lines, like they're pretty good. Like I don't think this is going to be a runaway for PSG.
Yeah, yeah, and the discussions I've had with my Arsenal friend too, like I've been pretty harsh on Arteta for sure.
Mm,
I wouldn't get rid of him quite yet, but like there's concerns, there's rumblings about just like he's always in second, bro. Like he cannot close.
yeah.
Like Man City, like when we were in the races with them, like we came really really close that first year, and then like wasn't even close the second year, and then
Mm-hmm,
finally they're bad, and then Liverpool come out of nowhere and they run away with the league, and
mm-hmm,
his consistent failure to sign a striker. We've needed a striker for like 2 years now. 2 years, four
Yeah.
transfer windows. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's not really the front office or the board anymore. It's like he's just so picky with the players that he buys that I
Yeah.
feel like he's dragging his feet and he's like, oh, I need this striker that does this and he does that. And I was like, no, you just need somebody that can shoot. Like we had in the both of the legs of the Champions League, we had so many shots, but the shots on goal was like 5 out of the 20 that we had. We
Mm-hmm.
just need someone that can like keep a ball low and that can finish a shot inside the 6 with a wide open goal in front of you. Like we don't, it's not rocket science here. So like
Right.
just that paired with um like we're competing on all fronts, but we still lose against teams we should be beating in the FA Cup. We still lose against teams we should be beating in the League Cup. And like no one cares about the League Cup. But like, you know, we're still losing to like Bournemouth and like other
Yeah.
teams. So like
Right.
it's just that's kind of frustration. And then the Champions League, if it wasn't for this run, like I mean, yeah, we're in the Champions League, but we still keep getting knocked out early. And this was kind of the season because a lot of the big boys were already out. So I mean, you
Right.
can only, you know, Madrid are going to retool. Who knows what the other teams are going to look like? So you can't really. And like honestly, I'm not saying like they're old, but like Arsenal, like this core's been together 3-4 years now. Really
Mm-hmm.
don't have much to show for it. We're quote unquote stacked at every position,
Mm-hmm.
at least the starters. But you know, can't really get it done. So we'll see
Right.
how next year goes. But I don't know, man. If he doesn't come away with any trophies next year, I'm looking at him real hard. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
see. Because he's one of these guys, man. He's from that pep tree where it's just like he tinkers like so much, it's almost like too much. And
Mm-hmm.
like this is the last thing I'll say about this, but like Odegaard too, like there's so many times, and like maybe this is a product of him being hurt some recently, but like there'll be like an easy like 4-on-2 counter where it's just
Mm.
you need to go. Like we have Martinelli and Saka tearing down the wings, Odegaard, and he has like Declan Rice, let's say, with him, and he'll get to like halfway and then just like, oh, slow it down, pass back. Like you gotta like systematically, this is like
Yeah.
passing and all this. And like at some point you're just like, that's gotta be like a coaching thing where he's just so
Mm.
obsessed with how like the way to play that he doesn't be like, oh, I got a world-class winger on the right and like Gabriel Martinelli on the left. Let's like get one of those guys into the open field and just see what happens. Like
Mm.
that stuff just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that is a product of Mikel Arteta and his tinkering and his, you know,
Absolutely.
systems, you know, vibe or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, that's enough about Arsenal. We'll see what kind of happens with that in our season next year. But moving on to the other semifinal leg. Oh boy, what
Oh
a
man.
two-legged tie here.
Huge. Some would say the best.
Absolutely insane. Some would say, yeah, instant classic for sure. Um, second second leg here ended 4-3. I'm not exactly sure. I actually need to pull up that game
Mm.
specifically. But I guess I'll just get your opinions here at the beginning. I guess I'll just run through the how the second leg kind of played out. But Inter Milan grabbing a 2-0 lead, very, very similar to how the first leg was kind of gonna be, or how it turned out to be. And then they kind of claw back 2-2. So aggregate, it's all tied up again. And then Barcelona get the very late goal to put them up on aggregate through Rafinha. But
Mm-hmm.
man, they just don't go away from that high line, do they? That high
Yeah.
line. 90 plus 3, 37-year-old Francesco Acerbi with a clinical strike. I don't even know what the heck he was doing that far up the field, but
Who
he gets a
knows, man?
huge tying goal to bring it level, to take it into extra time. And then Davide Fratesi gets the last chance
Uh,
goal there to put them up 4-3 on the day, and 7-6 on aggregate to knock Barcelona out of the Champions League. It's
dude.
not all good for the old Barca boys now.
No, man.
Obviously they
Nah.
dominated this game, but what do you got to say? 72% possession in this game.
I saw that, and obviously, possession is everything. But dude, 72%,
Crazy.
bruh.
Yeah.
Like we had the ball so much more, but all that matters is putting the ball in the back of the net. And if you do that more than the other team, you're gonna win. And
Right.
dude, that
Obviously.
that last ditch Acerbi freaking, it wasn't even like last ditch. Like it was a well, um the ball wasn't cleared very well, and then freaking Arajo or whatever the frick his name is, get rid of frick him.
Bro,
Holy
he's your
crap.
best defender.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Oh
He
my
gets
goodness.
absolutely turned, and then freaking old guy Serbi's just chilling in the box. No one's marking him. Gets in front, does a little like, I don't even know, dude. Like clips the ball,
Yeah, he like
and
does a little jump shot. No, I don't
good
even know.
finish, good
Yeah.
finish. But like,
Arsenal could
dude,
use a striker like that.
I did see the stories coming out like about him. You know, he's fought back. I think he's
Yeah.
beat cancer like twice or something
Cancer.
like that. So
That's
props to
awesome.
him.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I mentioned this to you on the pod or off pod, but I really felt, and PSG's really good, but I really felt like whoever won this tie was gonna is probably gonna win the Champions League. I'm gonna go.
Really?
I'm tilting Inter for
Don't
sure.
believe PSG?
I don't. And if you guys were healthy, I wouldn't think that. And I think if you guys are healthy, you guys beat PSG. But I think the inexperience is going to play a factor. But I just thought Barcelona, and I'm not trying to be biased here, but I just felt like Barcelona and Inter were the two best teams left out of the last four, and they got drawn together just with how the bracket worked out. And I just really feel like, or yeah, I really truly feel whoever won this tie, and obviously Inter did, is going to win it all. And props to them. They beat a good Barca side. This tie was devoid of a lot of defense. I will say that, but
Dude,
dude, Inter
I just
taking them
don't
to them.
like. Obviously, I've been on the pod before, like praising Hansi Flick, all this stuff. But like, why the commitment to that high line still?
Yes,
First, I mean, let's go back.
right.
Copa del Rey, final against Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
You won that by the skin of your teeth. Exposed at the back multiple times. You get into the first leg against Inter. Exposed 2 goals in the first 25 minutes. Exposed multiple times. You get out of that one scot-free, like lucky, kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Call back with a tie. Again, Real Madrid again. Not able, or sorry, the second leg of the Champions League. Again, 2 goals under 20 minutes. High line. Real Madrid, last game of the season basically for La Liga. High line. 2 goals Mbappe within 15, 20 minutes. Like, you could be beating these teams like 3-4-5-0 if you just weren't playing your stupid high line. Like, these guys are like, they're not even at half. Like, there's high lines, and then there's like what Barca are doing, and they're like 10 yards in the other team's half. I was like, brothers, there's no offsides, you know that, right? Like, starting from your own half. Like, that's just insane to me, the commitment to this high line, and I don't understand why. I don't understand. So I don't know if you have a reason. Like, I don't know if you've seen anything about that, but it's crazy that they just don't want to go away from it. And it's like,
I know,
ended up costing them obviously in this game because they weren't able to score enough goals like they did against Madrid and other teams to be able to pull themselves out of a hole. But I don't understand the commitment to that, especially when you don't have really fast center backs. You have Inigo Martinez, who's like 30 something, Kubarsi, who's like, he's pretty young, but he's like a big like athletic guy. He's not fast. And then you have like Eric Garcia, who's playing as a right back, who's really a center back. And it's just like, what are you doing? So I don't understand that at all, bro. But
yeah, no, I completely agree. And like, especially in this tie, since we're talking about it, you go up in the 87th minute.
Right.
The 87th minute.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Park the freaking bus.
I know.
Like,
they had like 3 guys in the box at that shot, bro.
Like, park the bus and play your highlight in the freaking Champions League final. What are we doing? But and I we give crap to ESPN FC all the time, but someone had a good point. One of those players, the captain or just one of the older players, like at some point you have to look at your team and be like, hey, I know the coach says this, but I'm telling you, just for the last 3 minutes of regular time and extra time, we're all not passing half. No one's passing half. You get the ball, we're punting it. Like just someone has to just take the game and just be like, this is what we're doing. And then I saw comments after the Real Madrid game because like obviously they ended up winning that one. And they won it how they usually do, just outscoring the other team, even though Mbappe had a hat trick, this, that, and the other. And Hansi Flick came out and he's like, well, it's kind of late in the season to change how we play.
Yeah, so dumb.
It doesn't take a whole lot to tell your team, hey, we're packing the box. Nothing gets in.
Bodies behind the ball,
like,
boys.
Like that's the simplest way to play the game.
Yeah.
You don't need a whole season to be like, all right, we got to work on parking the bus. No, just yeah, it was the most frustrating thing to watch. 87th minute, done and dusted. I'm just like, and I just watched them again and again playing this high line. We're pressing, like balls going over the top. Sure, we had a bunch of offside traps, but dude, it takes that one, and they got that one, got it to overtime. We're tired, and that's the other thing. Late in the game, park the bus, man. We don't have the legs, and like you alluded to, we don't have the legs anyway. If they have a striker that's, I mean, Mbappe did it to us in the freaking El Clasico. If Real Madrid's defense was any better, we lose that game easily. Yeah. We lose that game 3-1.
So I'm saying, bro, our back line was awful the last like 2 months. So we would have been in those games, I think, if we had
it's frustrating
anything of a back line. But it's just so crazy, like I said, that they stick to that. And that last goal in regular time, bro, like I just think it's so funny who scored that. It's like 37-year-old center back. Like
they didn't even have Martinez out there. Dumfries was on his last leg, still running. Like, give him props. He's the one that won the ball high up the field, turned Araujo and squared it to Acerbi. But like, dude, what are we doing? Yeah. What are we doing? Come on, guys.
Exactly. But yeah, Inter Milan 7-6 on aggregate will go on to face PSG in the final. I'm really looking forward to this one. I feel like it's the first time in a while I'm not hate watching one team. So I'm really excited to just be able to enjoy the Champions League final. It'll be cool to see either one of these teams win. Obviously, PSG has never won one. Interesting storyline. The first time that they're, in the, I guess not first time they've been in the final, but back to a final chance to win it. First year without all their superstars, and then Inter Milan, first time that they could win it since 2010. Obviously, they went a couple years ago and they played Man City, but really big chance for them to announce themselves as kind of back in that top tier of European football for sure. So I'm very excited about that.
Who you got?
Man, that's gonna be tough. I got PSG though.
Oh yeah, I tipped my hand earlier. I said Inter, so it'll be interesting. Gotta have a party. We gotta have a party.
Yeah,
get
for
some guys
sure.
Together. That'll be fun.
Maybe we'll give a little bit of a preview next week when we have our pod or whenever. I think it's 2 weeks away still. So, just touching on the other European competitions as well, really, really quickly, just because they have interesting storylines as well. In the Europa League, Manchester United beating Athletic 7-1 on aggregate. That one was a little bit closer, I would say, than the final aggregate score was, just because in the second leg, Athletic went up 1-0. Looking like there might be a threatening comeback on there, but Man United put in like 3 or 4 goals in quick succession there. Just kind of like, what are you doing in the league that you can't be doing this, as well? So they get a spot in the final. Huge chance for them to kind of save their season, get into a Champions League spot. That'd be crazy.
Wow.
And then Tottenham getting past Bodo Glimt 5-1 on aggregate. Bodo Glimt sounds like a team that should be playing the Europa League, not these big boys. But anyway, I digress. So both of these teams, bottom feeders in the Premier League, having a chance, technically top 6 clubs as they're perceived to play Champions League football this season or next season and save their season. So I guess we'll give a little bit of a preview here. Who you got in this one, and what do you got to say about both these teams having the chance to kind of redeem their pitiful seasons this year in the Prem?
I mean, dude, watching these two teams has been straight up comedy, and it's just so funny that they're meeting in the Europa League final, with a chance at a champ. Like, we're gonna have one of these teams in the Champions League next season. Like, oh my goodness. I don't know. Again, like full disclosure, I have not watched a whole lot of soccer these past few months. I think we go Manchester United. I think I'm gonna. I just I wouldn't say I have faith in them. I don't have faith in either of these teams, but they're playing each other. So I think I'm gonna give the edge to Manchester United. They got better players like Bruno Fernandez that can shine. When it comes to a final and stuff like that. I don't know. Tottenham just
Yeah.
really has been a dud all season.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I think Man United get it done. Their path to the final has been way harder than Tottenham's. You can just tell by the two teams we just mentioned. Like one team has to play a decent team in Spain versus one that is playing a team that most people have never even heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm seeing glimpses, bro. Like I know both of us like the coach for Manchester United. We're seeing glimpses of what he can do, even with this
Mm-hmm.
roster, this full of players that probably will not be here next year. But he's got him going in the Europa League for sure. Obviously, they beat Lyon in that crazy tie where they came back. Lyon are not a bad team in France by any means. Before that, they beat Real Sociedad, who are consistent Europa Leagues, challenging for Europa in Spain. So not bad, bad wins at all. I don't think Tottenham is um, as battle tested, I guess you could say, and they've been even worse than Manchester United in the Premier League. So I think Manchester United get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll get your opinion on this as well before we switch it over to the Conference League. Do you think that Manchester United qualifying for Champions League next season stunts a little bit of the growth for Emery? Because obviously, if they qualify for Champions League, there's going to be certain standards that they want to achieve as far as that's concerned, and maybe bigger players will want to come because of the Champions League football. Or do you think it would be better if they just missed out on that completely and just tore it down to studs and kind of just started from zero, where you can just get all of your own players and
Mm.
just kind of start from scratch?
That's a great freaking question because I honestly haven't even thought about like that. Like, what would be better to miss champion? Like, obviously, the fans and probably the higher ups are rooting for Champions League because that means more money. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, having this coach that he's doing the most with the players he has, which aren't his players. A
yeah,
lot of them really shouldn't be there, like anyways, regardless of the coach. Um, like a two-edged sword, like you were saying. You can get bigger players if you're in the Champions League, but do you really want that? Like,
yeah,
um, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with like just logically, yeah, it will stunt a lot of what he wants to do because there's gonna be more pressure if they're in the Champions League
mm-hmm.
to do well in the Champions League. Like, forget the Premier League. They're just like, you know what, we'll get good when we're good in the Premier League. But if you're in the Champions League, kind of like the flip of Arteta, like,
Yeah,
that saved his season, how deep they went, regardless of what they did in the league. And that could be detrimental to Manchester United's new coach. If they're in the Champions League and they do poorly, they'll look at that and be like, hey, and if you get the big players, you're like, well, you should be doing something with, I don't even know what names you could throw out there, but you should be
yeah.
doing something with the players that you have of that caliber. So it's interesting. I'm going to go with it. It would hurt them a lot, probably.
Yeah. I would say that obviously it's better for the money, but I definitely think it would stunt the natural growth that he probably wants to achieve at Manchester United. Just because obviously it's cool for the fans, a big team like United being in the Champions League, watching them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're obviously going to have not be able to get rid of the players that you want to. You're going to have more games where I think if they lost the game and just were able to focus solely on getting the players that he wants in there, getting rid of everybody else, um, and just focusing on the Premier League and the domestic cups, not having as many games where you don't have to worry about a midweek game. You have time to not just rest players, but also create tactics and really get through, a pregame, plan for how to play against the team. I think that would be hugely beneficial to a roster turnover, which is what they really need versus being in the Champions League, which is, yeah, it's great. Like you're getting the exposure and you're more of a draw for bigger players, but that's not really what they need just because they've tried that for years and years and it hasn't really paid off for them. So they
Mm-hmm.
need something that's stripped down to the studs.
Yeah.
But but we'll see. I am rooting for them, honestly, against Tottenham. I just hate Tottenham so much, obviously, as an Arsenal fan. So I hope they get it done, but it'll be
Yep.
interesting to see how they approach the offseason. But and then moving it down to the third league there, the Conference League. Um, Obviously, I've been on the pod before, kind of ranting that teams like this get to the final, but we're gonna kind of go into it anyway, just because Fezzi's team is in here. The Chelsea Young Boys taking care of business on the way to the final here against a bunch of teams from villages and third world countries, but
Literally.
it's okay. Academy boys getting it done, getting to the final. They're going to be playing
Yes.
a Real Betis squad, which not a bad team at all. They made it
No.
to the final based on some really good results. Beat Fiorentina in the semifinals, who has been to back Conference League finals. So very
Wow.
impressive win on their part as well. Couple names I'll mention here, just some names that a lot of people will be familiar with. Isco, one of my favorite players of all
Yeah,
time, to be
man.
honest. Isco Disco back in the Real Madrid days. Anthony, who's on loan from Manchester United, bro. He look up some highlights from his season, bro.
Yeah, man.
His assists and his goal catalog from this year is absolutely insane.
Yeah, dude.
So look that up when you got a chance. Hector Bellerin, who used to be a pretty good right back for us back in the day. Ricardo Rodriguez, who in his prime he was playing for Wolfsburg when they were really good in the Champions
Mm.
League. Lo Celso spent some time at PSG, and then Mark Bartra, who used to be a stalwart for Barca's defense. So not quite the village teams that you've been playing up to this point. I think that they
No.
definitely have the not just the talent, but obviously they have the experience as well with a lot of been there, done that kind of guys. And it's not going to be a very easy road at all for the Chelsea guys. That I don't think that I would put them as favorites, but I mean that
No.
young, inexperienced Chelsea team. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of get into the game first 10, 15 minutes against an experienced Betis squad.
Yeah. Do you think we actually take our A squad to this game?
I mean, you have to,
I mean,
right?
we
Like,
have to, but
it's a trophy on the line.
we're not
But
gonna throw obviously our coach comes from the Pep tree as well. And Pep is notorious for doesn't matter in like the FA Cup and all these smaller trophy tournaments, playing the squad that he plays, which is usually a watered down squad. Um, like obviously it's a trophy. We're gonna play for it. I think we send it, but it was just interesting to it'll be interesting to see because like you said, we've been kind of destroying these village teams with our CD squad playing all these freaking academy boys. But yeah, I think we send our A squad, but it's gonna be a tall task. I am
yeah,
not again, like I said, I do not get very excited when it comes to Chelsea, and that probably sounds horrible being a fan, but dude, I didn't even realize I knew Isco and I knew Anthony was there, but I had no idea all these other players were at Betis. Like, dude,
yeah,
if you went back like 4 or 5 years ago, this Betis be winning the Champions League. Like, what's going on, man?
yeah. I don't know about that, but they haven't been a bad team for a while now. Like they
No.
won the Spanish Cup, I think it was a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they've kind of been challenging for those Europa League spots, those Conference League spots in Spain for several years. So, they've kind of been knocking at the door a little bit. It's not like a young up and coming team, but again,
Mm-hmm.
one of those teams, kind of like Atalanta in Italy,
Mm.
where they just get guys maybe just slightly past their prime or just kind of get phased out of a bigger team just because there's so many big names there that they're able to put good seasons together. So I wouldn't even be surprised if they took an early lead on Chelsea. Like maybe
Yeah.
Chelsea end up winning anyway, but I would not be surprised at all if they're able to kind of scrounge one out here. So better take your A squad for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't even know what the actual number is on this game, but I'm sure we're not favorited. Just with
I
how we
You probably are. I
you
would
think
think.
so?
Yeah, dude. I mean, come on,
Really?
Chelsea.
Maybe I'm just anti-biased against Chelsea at this point.
Yeah, you're a
Like they got
little.
me.
Are
They
you
got.
sure you're
I
a
mean,
Chelsea fan here?
I would love if we won because it would solidify definitely Europa, which you know that it is what it is. It's a better tournament than this Conference League freaking garbage that we've been playing in.
You guys are definitely favorites.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. Like I don't know, it'll be a good test for us. Show up, play like like just show up. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
Just
you
show
guys
up.
are heavy favorites, by the way. I'm literally looking at
Are
the
we
odds right
really?
now. So
That's crazy.
-150.
Uh, but I mean, Betis also has Johnny Cardoso, so like, I don't know who we really rooting for. U.S. men's national team represent. He's
Does
going to
he even
Tottenham next
play?
season. Yeah, oh yeah, he's like one of their best midfielders.
Oh,
He's going to
okay.
Tottenham next season though.
Oh, interesting. I'll be
Yeah.
rooting against him, but it's fine.
Yeah, you're gonna hate him even more now. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all shapes up. But I think that's a pod, Sammy.
That is a pod.
Yep, went a little long because we apologize for missing last week, but again, when we don't do this full time, stuff happens. So, but we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Check us out on everything: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Like and subscribe. It takes a second to subscribe, but it means the world to us. So we'd appreciate if you guys did that. Yeah. With that being said, I think that's a pod, and we will catch you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.
Peace.